What's up, everybody? And today we are reacting to every single Warhammer 40k faction explained. Now, before I get into reacting to this is a 2-hour, if you include both parts, because it's part 1 and part 2, this is a 2-hour series, or a couple videos, that is impossible for me to react in one go. So I'm going to try and break it down to like 15-20 minutes-ish, depending on trying to stop at the right time. And if you guys like that first part of me reacting to this right now, the first 15-20 minutes, then I'll do more of them, okay? Because then I'll make it kind of like a series. But Bricky has obviously put in a ton of work into these videos. So there'll be a link down below to his video. Please head over there, like the video, subscribe to him. The guy obviously puts out some incredible content. And yeah, all credit to this dude. There'll be a link down below to his channel. Make sure you go and share the love. So I'm going to try and do about 15-20 minutes. We'll see how we go from there. And yeah, we'll call it quits at some point. But for now, let's shut up and let's just react to this. Every single Warhammer 40k faction explained part 1. Let's go.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about, to add a little bit more context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing. So, hello.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. As you guys know, I pretty much know nothing about Warhammer. I've got a couple books. I haven't got around to reading them yet because I am reading a bunch of other stuff right now. And I'd love to read some more. I think the ones that have really captured my eye the most are the Space Wolves. Is that what they're called? The kind of like Viking-esque Space Marines. And then also the Tau. The Tau seem really cool. So they're the ones I'm interested in, but I don't know anything about them, not gonna lie.
Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is... I need 2 hands for this.
Let me go back a minute there. All his socials, let me move my head out of the way. Go and visit all his social guys, okay? Go and visit all of them. Very important.
Been going on for quite some time. This is... I need 2 hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, but mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is.
That's me. I have no clue what it is. Also, this editing is spot on my comedy. It's exactly what my comedy is. Subtle, yet funny. But yeah, I have no idea what Warhammer 40,000, like, what are the factions. I know little bits, I guess. Like, I know there's Space Marines. I know that there's the evil, ones that look like evil elves. People are probably laughing their head off at me right now. I know the Tau, obviously. I know the Necrons. I know that the Necrons are actually, ancient beings that turn into robots somehow. I know, guys. I know.
Now, you see, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you...
This is me, guys. This is me. This is me right here, okay? I am this viewer right here.
Who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer.
Yeah.
So overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so...
Wait, is this like the universe of Warhammer 40k? Holy crap. Holy crap. That kind of reminds me of when you see the galaxy from Star Wars, and you see all the different planets and then the core and all that lot. Gives you a giant map of where all the planets are. It kind of reminds me of that.
Vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens, and you've got the
Necrons
factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about.
All right, Bricky.
What the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated, but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in.
Well, I'm really excited. I feel like this guy probably knows, like, from what he's saying, it's really vast, and I feel like he's going to cover everything, but not as in-depth as he probably wants. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from. Here's cool, though. I'm looking at all these different... They got the Eldar, the Dark Eldar, Grey Knights, Inquisition, the Necrons, they're cool. Tau Empire, Space Wolves, that's it. The Space Wolves and the Tau Empire are the ones that I'm kind of interested in. Yeah, a lot of these symbols look very similar, though. The Astra Militarum, and the Space Marines kind of look similar, like their emblems, which is kind of weird. Yeah,
so, I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it, because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions, and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well, in case you were curious about that. But
every time I see a picture of the tabletop, let's go forward a bit. Now, there we go. It's so cool. Someone's painted every single one of them, and that is some incredible artwork right there. Let's be honest. The skills.
But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man.
Oh,
that
okay.
Takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore.
So this is all just the humans, the Imperium of Man. Okay.
What is Warhammer 40,000?
Perfect.
Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year 40,000. The 41st millennium, that's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD. You're already more knowledgeable. Let me read you a quote. First of
That's all I need to know, guys. That's a wrap. No,
many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die.
Holy
crap. To be
crap.
a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods.
That is cool as fudge. I'm guessing this is part of the books, or maybe this is just a part of the lore in general. I didn't know it was so dark. I like a bit of grimdark. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, which isn't really typical grimdark, but it is dark in a sense. I've read the first book in the first Law trilogy, which is grimdark, really cool. But that's all fantasy. This is sci-fi. So a grimdark sci-fi I've never really read before. I mean, you could say Dune is kind of dark in a sense because of the way it is. You could say it's kind of dark, but it's not your traditional dark sense, is it? Let's be honest. So I'm up for this, guys. I know there's a series of books there's like a 40 book long series that's based, like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a prequel. Let me know if that's worth reading.
Everything blows, and it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota, War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are...
I didn't know it was so grim. After watching the kind of the animated things we've reacted to, I obviously knew it was dark to a sense. I didn't know it was like this though. I didn't know it was just pure death and demons and everything. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm all about it. I am all about it.
Completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks. But that's like the charm of it.
Okay.
See, everything in Warhammer is evil. But being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity, in its own right, is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer. Nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it, because being the bad guy is badass.
Being the bad guy is badass. Sure, you said it, Bricky.
Villains are cool. They look cool, they got cool outfits, they got cool weapons, they got cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy.
Okay.
So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
It's hair, whack. It's gear, whack.
The Imperium.
So these are the Space Marines, I'm guessing, right? These are your Bobby Basic main people. These are the people you see on the starter packs and all that good stuff, right? I've been into the Warhammer shop. I used to play it back when I was a kid, but I was so young I didn't care about the lore. All I cared about was playing the game and painting, and I only did it for a certain period of time before I went in the Royal Marines. So I don't know much about the story itself. What I do know is that Space Marines are kind of like at the forefront of everything. They're the ones that are advertised the most when it comes to Warhammer. They're the ones that are the characters that you see and you instantly know it's Warhammer. So that's what I'm guessing it's going to talk about.
Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the Emperor of mankind, a 10-foot-tall psychic demigod who led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age.
Damn.
This man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40k, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff.
So, let me just get this straight. Is this supposed to be future Earth where this has happened? And if so, what's the correlation between, or what's the, yeah, where do these people come from? Are they just humans that just have abilities that just happened all of a sudden? Like, why have they got these abilities? That's what I kind of want to know.
Like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker, top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarks. He created 18 Primarks to have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and plans to help colonize and bring it out.
So it's sci-fi, but there is a hard push for fantasy in this. There's a hard push for fantasy. It's got magic in it. It's got demons and all this different stuff. There's a hard push for fantasy, even though it's in a sci-fi setting. And I know people already commenting sci-fi is a subgenre of fantasy. We know that. But what I mean is it's pushing traditional fantasy in the sci-fi narrative. Because usually sci-fi is very kind of philosophy based. If you think of like Dune and stuff like that, not so much Star Wars, but Dune. It's very much based around like ideas and philosophy, whereas this fantasy is based around character building and the magic systems for the most part. Whereas this, it looks like it's about these certain figures who are creating more important people that are all seem to be characters of their own, identity. So it's very fantasy-esque in that sense, but the magic part of it is huge. Again, more fantasy, but in a sci-fi setting. Cool, I'm all about it.
These Primarks are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's
That's the book series, right? The Horus Heresy. Let me know if it's worth reading.
favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier, the warp, that Imperium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 Chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those Chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor on Earth. And they fucked up shit. After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astra Militarum, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day.
So that is where the Horus Heresy, I'm sure, we already knew then, I guess, that this Emperor was going to end up the way he did, rotting. And this is a prequel series talking about how it happened and how Horus Heresy went against Earth. So it's a cool... I like these stories that are made where you know the outcome already. You know what's going to happen, but it's like, how do we get there? Like the prequels, the origin stories. I'm a big fan of the origin stories, so... that sounds cool AF, and I feel like if I read that, even though it would probably take me 20 years, because it's like, 40-odd books, even though it's going to take me a long time to read it, I think it might be worth reading it if I want to get into Warhammer. Let me know.
Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40k, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone.
So he's incredibly important for the expansion. This is a brilliant place where I've paused it for Bricky. He is key to probably the economics and the war of the Imperium and how they get around the place. Because if you can't get around the place, you're pretty much buggered out. You're isolated from other factions. You can't communicate. Blah blah blah. So that guy who's being fed 1,000, the Emperor is being fed 1,000 souls a day, is incredibly important. What a fascinating story.
You're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. heretics die in 40k. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. So,
what I find amazing is that this Emperor guy he might not have wanted to be remembered as a god, he said. So he probably didn't want them all to be this way, but it's happened out of his legacy in general over time. And I think that is such a fascinating outlook, because that is very kind of very true in some ways, where someone can be seen as a religious figure even though they're not, but they've gone and they can't do anything, like, you know, there's nothing that can be done about it, but people see that. Incredible. That's so cool.
some more than others, but no matter what, you're preaching that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Ooh. Astra Militarum.
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day, like, flak armor with a laser rifle.
Guys, I like it. Ooh, I like these guys. They're just your typical soldiers. They're nothing special. They're not crazy giants. They're not monsters. They're just regular soldiers doing the job. Guys, this is gonna be hard picking a good faction.
This is the humble lasgun, the main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon.
These are cool.
In modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40k universe. Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now. But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company command.
It reminds me of a cross between, like, World War I, World War II, like you said, but also, damn it, what was that film called? Starship Troopers. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a mix of World War I, World War II aesthetics with Starship Trooper armor.
Commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops.
Ooh.
A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower.
Them ships remind me of Halo. What do you guys think?
They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Katachin jungle fighters.
Rambo from the future. Is that future Rambo?
Live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple night on their home planet.
Let's
you have
go.
the Valhallan winter soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years. The Mordian
I haven't felt the toes in 300 years.
Iron Guard, who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle. And then, of course, the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote, I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40k. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic. They actually represent the main...
I can't agree with him more. Like, I think this is awesome. Awesome. Am I going to find other factions that I love? Am I going to love them all just as much as this one? I don't know whether it's because I was a Royal Marine, you know, just a typical soldier, maybe a little bit more advanced training, but a typical soldier, like, this is right up my alley.
Imperial Guard tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Marines.
Well, I think we'll end it there. We're 15 minutes in. It's ended into a new part of Space Marines. That was amazing. That was amazing. Wow. So that faction then was... Oh, I love them. I love them, guys. I love them. I don't know how I feel because I'm a big fan of like Norse mythology. So when the Space Wolves come, I know they've got like a Norse mythology kind of aesthetic to them. So I might like that. And then the Tau have been something that I'm drawn to for some reason. I'd like to know more about them. I don't know anything about them, but I'd love to know more about them. They just look cool, probably. That's probably all it is. But that first faction was fantastic, and I am a huge, huge fan of that. Remember, there's a link down below to Bricky's video. Please go over there, like it, and all that good stuff. He totally deserves it. He's putting some hard work here. There's a lot more to react to. If you want me to react to more of these videos, these explaining of the factions, like this video, comment down below, and let me know, because... if you guys love it, I'll keep doing more of it. If not, then I'll just watch it in my own time when I'm chill before bed. Members, you're amazing. I love you. I couldn't do this without you. I honestly couldn't make videos every single day if it wasn't for these members right here. So thank you for supporting the channel as much as you do. Links down below to my socials, including the 2 links to Discord. We've got the military link for all things military. Joining the military, getting fit for the military. Join that Discord. And then we've got the Geek Discord for all things Warhammer, Warhammer 40k, Star Wars, D&D, Metro, Halo, SCP, all that good stuff. Join the Geek Discord. Also, link down below to my podcast and my Twitch stream, where I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And if you cannot catch the Twitch stream, we do upload them onto the Geek channel, my second channel, link down below. We also have other stuff, like a D&D campaign and some other really cool stuff, so check that out. I'm amazed. I'm super happy I found this. I'm super happy you guys sent it to me. I'm excited to watch more. Until next time, guys, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.